A humble 1957 wheat penny sitting in old jars, drawers, or tucked away in forgotten collections could hold secrets of American history, untold stories of mid-century change, and even hidden value far beyond 1 cent. This is not just a small copper coin. It is a piece of heritage, a symbol of an era. And today we will dive deep into its story. The 1957 wheat penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Wheat Cent series, first issued in 1909 to honor the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The wheat reverse was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it remained on the coin until 1958, making the 1957 penny one of the final issues of the iconic wheat-back design. This coin represents the late stage of an American numismatic journey that spanned half a century. The 1957 penny was minted in two locations, Philadelphia and Denver, with the Denver Mint, producing the majority of coins marked with a small D mint mark below the date. The Philadelphia mint coins carried no mint mark and were struck in large numbers as well. In terms of composition, the 1957 penny was struck in a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it the traditional reddish-brown luster that collectors value when in high-grade condition. This metal composition linked the coin to earlier decades before the changes of the mid-20th century that saw different alloys being used in United States coinage. The production numbers for the 1957 penny were enormous. More than 1 billion coins were produced across both mints, making it one of the most common wheat cents in circulation. However, within this massive mintage lie varieties, errors, and conditions that elevate some 1957 pennies to rarity and high value. The design features the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The right-facing portrait that Brenner created in 1909 remained unchanged across decades, symbolizing the enduring legacy of Lincoln as a figure of unity and freedom. His image on the 1957 penny continued to serve as a reminder of his role in guiding the nation. Through the Civil War on the reverse, we see the twin wheat stalks framing the denomination 1 cent and the words United States of America, with the Latin motto E pluribus unum above the wheat stalks. This design was meant to emphasize the agricultural foundation of the nation and the prosperity of the people, making the coin both a tribute to Lincoln and a celebration of American progress. The historical backdrop of the 1957 penny is the America of the post-war era. The United States in the late 1950s was experiencing economic growth, suburban expansion, and the early stages of the space race. 1957 itself was the year when the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, and this marked a turning point in global politics and science. While Americans handled these small bronze coins in their daily lives, the world around them was shifting rapidly. From the automobile boom, to the rise of television culture, to the tensions of the Cold War, the wheat penny of 1957 became a silent witness to all these transformations. Collectors prize the 1957 penny not just for its history, but also for the chance of finding errors and rare varieties. Some examples include double-die obverse varieties, where the date or lettering shows noticeable. Doubling these are scarce but command strong premiums. Another notable category includes repunched mint marks on the Denver issues, where the D was stamped more than once, creating a visible overlapping effect. Planchet errors, off-center strikes, and other minting mistakes also occurred during production, and today these can be worth many times the face value, depending on the degree of the error and the preservation of the coin. Grading plays a vital role in determining the value of the 1957 penny coins. In worn, circulated condition, are usually worth only a few cents over face value because of their commonness. However, examples in high mint state grades, particularly those with brilliant red luster, are far more desirable. Collectors pay significant premiums for coins graded MS65 or higher, especially when they display full red color without the browning that copper coins usually develop over decades. Proof-like strikes or coins with unusually sharp details can also attract interest among specialists. although official proof cents were not struck for circulation in 1957. Philadelphia did produce proof sets for collectors, and the 1957 proof wheat penny from those sets is a highly sought-after collectible in pristine condition. The cultural significance of the wheat penny design cannot be overlooked for nearly 50 years. Americans carried these coins in pockets, spent them in shops, and saved them in jars. The wheat penny became a symbol of familiarity and tradition. By 1957, many people knew that a change was coming. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse was introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, meaning that the 1957 issue was one of the last moments in which the wheat design served as the face of everyday commerce. This gives the coin a sense of closure to an era, a bridge between early 20th century America and the modern age. Beyond its numismatic details, the 1957 penny also carries personal histories. Countless individuals recall memories of receiving wheat pennies as children, discovering them in change, or being introduced to coin collecting through these small copper pieces. Schools, libraries, and community clubs often used wheat pennies to teach about history, economics, and saving money. They were easy to collect, inexpensive, and accessible to all, which is why the 1957 penny and others like it sparked generations of coin collectors who would later pursue the hobby more seriously. As we expand on the story of the 1957 wheat penny, it is essential to consider its role in the broader history of United States coinage. The transition from wheat to the memorial reverse marked a shift not only in design, but in national identity. The memorial reverse symbolized a new focus on national monuments and collective memory, while the wheat design emphasized agriculture and growth. Thus, the 1957 penny is not just a piece of currency, but a turning point in the iconography of American money. Over the course of this narrative, we can explore the social and economic atmosphere of the 1950s, how inflation and coinage policy influenced minting, how collectors began to organize societies and publish guides, and how the wheat penny became enshrined as one of the most collected coins in America. The 1957 penny provides an ideal lens through which to view all of these themes. From its massive mintages to its hidden varieties, from its proof issues to its place in history, the 1957 wheat penny stands as more than just copper. It is a time capsule of post-war America and a reminder that even the smallest coin can hold great value, not just in dollars but in memory, heritage, and meaning. The 1952 wheat penny looks ordinary, but its story is filled with rarity, history, and secrets that make it one of the most exciting coins in American history. Watch as we uncover the true value, the minting mysteries, and the collector passion that makes this humble copper cent a treasure in disguise. The story of the 1952 wheat penny begins in the early years after World War II, when the United States economy was shifting from the hardships of the war era to the prosperity of the 1950s. The Lincoln wheat cent had already been in production since 1909, designed by Victor David Brenner to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This design became one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. And by 1952, it had already seen several decades of circulation and use across the nation. The coin was struck in 3 different locations during that year: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each mint carrying its own mark of production and its own place in the story of this historic penny. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority of the 1952 wheat pennies with no mint mark, and these coins made their way into the hands of everyday Americans, serving as the backbone of commerce in a time when a single penny still held significant purchasing power. Denver followed with the D mint mark, creating another large supply of cents that were distributed primarily in the central and western United States, while the San Francisco Mint produced the 1952 S pennies, which were minted in smaller numbers and became more difficult to find in higher grades over time, making them especially appealing to collectors who chase quality and rarity in their collections. The composition of the 1952 wheat penny continued the standard formula used since 1909, a mixture of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This alloy gave the coin its warm, reddish-brown tone when freshly minted, but over the decades exposure to air circulation and wear caused most examples to, sometimes with appealing natural toning that modern collectors find desirable, the diameter of the coin remained 19 millimeters, and its weight was 31 grams, a specification that had been consistent through much of the wheat cent era. To understand the 1952 wheat penny, we must place it in the context of post-war America. The Korean War had ended in 1953, but during 1952, the country was still engaged in conflict overseas. Inflation and defense spending affected the economy, and coinage remained vital to everyday transactions. Vending machines, pay telephones, bus fares, and grocery shopping all relied heavily on cents and small change, making the wheat penny a constant presence in American life. At the same time, coin collecting as a hobby was gaining popularity, boosted by publications and organizations that encouraged the public to search through their change for interesting dates and mint marks. Many young collectors of the 1950s began their journey by searching for wheat pennies, and albums were sold specifically to hold Lincoln cents from 1909 onward. In terms of rarity, the 1952 wheat penny is not considered the scarcest date in the series, but condition rarity plays an enormous role. Coins that survived in mint state, especially those with full original red luster, are far more valuable than circulated examples, and certain die varieties and errors have added to the allure of the year. Collectors hunt for doubled dies, repunched mint marks off center strikes, and other minting anomalies that can elevate a common cent into a rare and expensive prize. Stories abound of coins discovered decades later in old jars, drawers, and bankrolls that turned out to be worth far more than face value. The Denver Mint issues of 1952 are particularly famous for certain repunched mint marks varieties, where the D was punched more than once into the die, creating a distinctive doubling effect. This variety is a favorite among specialists and is listed in popular reference guides, commanding strong premiums in higher grades. Similarly, the San Francisco Mint issues sometimes exhibit striking anomalies, making them desirable for advanced collectors who focus on die variety studies. The circulation of the 1952 wheat penny extended well into the late 20th century, as millions of examples were minted and distributed. It was not until 1959 that the wheat reverse design, featuring two stalks of wheat framing the denomination, was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Thus, the 1952 penny stands among the final group of wheat cents from the early 50s, carrying the historic reverse design that generations of Americans associated with the humble cent. Values for the 1952 wheat penny vary widely, depending on condition in worn circulated grades. The coin remains common but uncirculated pieces, especially those with full red color, are highly sought after by collectors. Certified examples graded MS-65 or higher can command significant prices, and when combined with a recognized error or die variety, the value multiplies dramatically. Record auction prices highlight the enduring appeal of this coin. Some examples have sold for thousands of dollars, reflecting the power of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Beyond market value, the 1952 wheat penny carries a deep historical significance. It is a symbol of post-war American stability, a link to the long-running legacy of Abraham Lincoln on coinage, and a reminder of the artistry of Victor David Brenner's design. The simple portrait of Lincoln and the wheat ears remain iconic images in American numismatics, and every coin of this era tells the story of how money touched lives during a transformative period in history. Collectors today cherish the 1952 wheat penny, not only for its place in the series, but for its ability to connect us with the past. To hold such a coin is to hold a piece of 1950s America, a time of booming industry, suburban growth, and cultural change, when coins circulated through diners, gas stations, movie theaters, and schools, capturing the rhythm of everyday life in copper form. For numismatists, the pursuit of high-grade examples and rare varieties of this Date represents a challenge that continues to excite and inspire generations of collectors, ensuring that the 1952 wheat penny remains far more than just 1 cent story. Today we uncover the secrets of the 1950 wheat penny, a small piece of copper that holds big value, history, and mystery. The 1950 wheat penny is one of the most interesting and collectible coins from the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which began in 1909 with the introduction of the famous Victor David Brenner design, honoring President Abraham Lincoln, the first United States president ever to appear on a circulating coin. This series ran until 1958, and during those nearly 50 years, millions upon millions of these pennies were struck, but certain dates and mint marks stand out too. Collectors and historians, because of their production numbers, their unique characteristics, and their place in American history, the 1950 wheat penny belongs to this fascinating story. To understand the true importance of the 1950 wheat penny, we need to step back into the post-World War II era. America was changing rapidly, the economy was booming, soldiers had returned home, the baby boom generation was beginning, and the United States Mint was working constantly to provide enough coinage for the growing needs of a modern society. During this time, pennies remained the backbone of everyday commerce, and the wheat penny was still the most common coin seen in circulation. However, while most 1950 pennies were produced in high numbers, some became very special to collectors because of their mint mark variations, conditions, and errors. The 1950 wheat penny was minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia, being the main mint, did not place a mint mark on its coins. Denver used the letter D beneath the date, and San Francisco used the letter S beneath the date in 1950. The Philadelphia Mint produced around 272 million wheat pennies. Denver struck about 334 million, and San Francisco produced just over 118 million, making the San Francisco issue the lowest mintage of the 3, and naturally the most desirable to collectors, especially in higher grades. Now, collectors often wonder why a common date coin like the 1950 wheat penny still attracts so much attention. The answer lies not only in numbers, but also in quality. By 1950, many pennies entered circulation heavily and wore down quickly because copper coins of that period were prone to damage and wear. Therefore, finding a 1950 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition is much harder than it may sound. The 1950 wheat penny also holds value in the story of American design. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing. Write a strong and iconic portrait that has remained on the penny for more than a century. Above his head is the motto, "In God we trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date, 1950, with the mint mark. If present beneath it, the reverse of the coin showcases 2 wheat stalks, 1 on each side, framing the denomination 1 cent, and the words United States of America above the denomination are the words E pluribus unum, which means out of many one. This design became a symbol of American unity during times of great change and remains one of the most beloved designs in U.S. coinage history. During the mid-20th century, coin collecting was becoming more popular. The Never families and young collectors would search through their pocket change hoping to find wheat pennies from certain years and mint marks that might complete their collections. The 1950 wheat penny, especially those from San Francisco and those in higher grades, often sparked excitement. One key factor in the long-lasting legacy of the 1950 wheat penny is its role in the transition of the American economy. Copper was becoming more valuable, and the mint was preparing for changes in composition that would come later. During the 1940s, wartime pennies had been made of steel coated with zinc to save copper for the war effort. But by 1950, copper was again being used, though the value of copper itself made saving coins an interesting practice for collectors. Another important aspect is errors and varieties. Many 1950 wheat pennies display small differences that collectors treasure. Examples include doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and off-center strikes. A doubled die is when the design elements on the coin appear to be doubled because of a misalignment during the die creation process. Repunched mint marks occur when the letter D or S was punched more than once into the die, resulting in visible doubling or distortion. These varieties, though rare, make the 1950 penny highly desirable in the numismatic world and sometimes worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on condition and rarity. As we examine the Philadelphia issue, it is clear that while the mintage was high, the survival of coins in mint state condition with full original red luster is relatively low. Many coins have toned to brown or red-brown over the decades, and the grading scale from good to mint state 67 or higher plays a huge role in value. A 1950 Philadelphia penny in circulated condition might only be worth a few cents. But in high-grade certified mint state with red color, it can bring significant value to collectors. The Denver issue with its D mint mark also follows a similar story. The high mintage means that many exist, but again, condition is everything. Coins with full strike strong details and beautiful original red surfaces bring strong premiums. Denver mint marks are also more likely to show interesting varieties such as repunched mint marks, making them a special target for variety collectors. The San Francisco issue, however, stands apart because of its lower mintage, just over 118 million, compared to the hundreds of millions struck elsewhere. While still not considered rare by absolute numbers, the fact that fewer were made means fewer survive in top condition, and this creates strong demand among collectors, especially those seeking complete sets of wheat pennies from every year, and mint mark the 1950s wheat penny in brilliant red uncirculated condition can be worth significantly more than its Philadelphia or Denver counterparts. In addition to mintages and errors, the historical context of the 1950 wheat penny makes it fascinating. The year 1950 was a period of growth and transformation in the United States. The Cold War was intensifying. The Korean War was about to begin. Technology and consumer culture were rapidly evolving, and yet the humble 1-cent coin remained a symbol of everyday life in America. People used it for candy, newspapers, bus rides, and countless daily purchases, while collectors today look back at the 1950 penny as a historical artifact. For 2 hours, we could discuss the way these coins traveled through hands, the way they were saved in coin jars, the way children filled blue Whitman folders with holes labeled for each date and mint mark, and the way families passed down collections from one generation to another. The 1950 wheat penny is not just copper, it is a piece of memory, a piece of history, and a piece of value in the story of American coinage. The grading and value of the 1950 wheat penny depend on three main factors: condition, rarity, and demand. Condition is measured by the Sheldon scale from poor to mint state 70, though most coins fall between good and mint state 65. Rarity comes from mint mark varieties and errors, and demand is driven by collectors who want to build complete wheat cent collections. A 1950 penny in worn condition might only be worth its copper content, but a flawless red mint state coin could be worth hundreds, especially if certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC. Ultimately, the 1950 wheat penny stands as a perfect example of how a common coin can become a collector treasure through history, condition, and story. It reminds us that every coin has a journey from the mint to the pocket to the collector, and it connects us to the time in which it was made. To the world of rare American coins, where history and value meet today, we uncover the legendary 1944 wheat penny, a coin that holds secrets from the past and treasures for collectors around the world. The 1944 wheat penny stands as one of the most iconic coins in American history. It was minted during a time of global conflict and change. World War II was reshaping nations and economies, and even the smallest objects like a penny reflected the era of sacrifice and innovation. The wheat penny had been introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and by 1944 it was already deeply established in American pockets, and purses carrying both monetary and symbolic meaning. The design created by Victor David Brenner was revolutionary for its time. The obverse featured the bust of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that marked the first time a real historical figure had appeared on a regular circulating American coin. Brenner, a Lithuanian immigrant and talented engraver, was chosen to immortalize the 16th president on the coin Lincoln. was chosen not only because 1909 marked the centennial of his birth, but also because he represented unity, justice, and resilience values that resonated with Americans, especially in the early 20th century. The reverse design featured two wheat stalks, framing the words, 1 cent United States of America and E pluribus unum. This simple yet elegant design symbolized growth and prosperity. The wheat stalks suggested the nation's agricultural foundation and abundance, while the overall layout kept the coin balanced and distinct. By 1944, the United States Mint was working tirelessly to produce billions of coins for circulation because of the wartime economy and the massive demand for currency. During that period, the year before, in 1943, the Mint had experimented with a new metal composition, producing pennies out of zinc-coated steel instead of copper. Since copper was essential for war materials like ammunition shell casings and electrical wiring, those steel cents became infamous for their tendency to rust and corrode and for their silvery appearance, which confused many people who mistook them for dimes. In 1944, however, the Mint reverted back to a copper-based composition using mostly recycled shell casings from the war effort. These were melted down and transformed into coinage, giving the 1944 wheat penny a unique connection to the battlefield and home front alike. The composition was 95% copper and 5% zinc, making it similar to earlier issues, but with the patriotic distinction that it came directly from recycled military materials. Collectors often refer to these as shell case cents. The Philadelphia Mint, Denver Mint, and San Francisco Mint all struck pennies in 1944. Production was massive, and over 1 billion wheat pennies were minted across the three facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest share with more than 1 billion alone, making the 1944 Philadelphia wheat penny one of the most common issues of the entire series. Denver followed with hundreds of millions, and San Francisco produced fewer but still significant numbers. Each coin can be identified by the mint mark located under the date on the obverse. The Philadelphia Mint coins had no mint mark. Denver coins were marked with a D, and San Francisco coins carried an S. Although the 1944 wheat penny is considered common, certain varieties and errors make it extremely valuable. One of the most famous is the 1944 steel penny. This rare error occurred when leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally found their way into the presses. In 1944, only a handful of these steel cents are known to exist today. They are considered some of the most valuable pennies in American history, with auction records reaching into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another valuable variety is the 1944 D over S repunched mint mark, where a D was struck over an S mint mark, creating a unique error highly sought after by collectors. The story of the 1944 wheat penny goes beyond rarity and value. It connects to the broader history of American coinage, and the cultural context of the time coins serve as tiny historical documents reflecting the politics, economy, and values of the society that produced them. In 1944, Americans were living through wartime rationing, victory gardens, patriotic bonds, and an uncertain global future. Yet the small copper penny was a symbol of endurance, something everyone carried with them every day and often overlooked. Collectors value the 1944 wheat penny for many reasons. For some, it is nostalgia, remembering a time when pennies could still buy candy or play a role in childhood memories. For others, it is investment, knowing that varieties like the 1944 steel cent or high-grade mint state red examples can bring significant premiums at auction for historians. The coin represents the ingenuity of a nation at war, recycling shell casings into coinage and keeping the economy moving despite resource shortages. Grading plays a vital role in determining the value of the 1944 wheat penny. Coins are evaluated on color strike luster, and preservation pennies that remain red with minimal wear are the most desirable and can command impressive prices. While worn brown examples are worth mostly face value or a small premium, yet even common examples are cherished for their connection to history. Mint State red gems, especially those certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC, are the crown jewels of collectors' holdings. Beyond the United States, the 1944 wheat penny also became a cultural ambassador. Many of these coins found their way overseas in the pockets of soldiers serving abroad as they traveled through Europe and Asia. Pennies were often traded, given as keepsakes or left behind, and decades later, collectors and treasure hunters around the world still find them as relics of that global era. In this way, the coin becomes not just a piece of American history, but a global artifact of the Second World War. When studying the production records, we see that the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion coins, Denver over 430 million, and San Francisco over 282 million. These numbers underline just how massive the wartime production effort was. Yet among the billions of coins struck, the survival of rare varieties, like the steel cents and mint mark errors, makes the hunt exciting for collectors. Every coin tells a story, and every variety offers a mystery waiting to be uncovered. The 1944 wheat penny also marks the continuation of a long lineage of Lincoln cents, which have now become the longest-running coin design in American history, lasting over a century. With only minor modifications, the wheat design continued until 1958, when it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The 1944 issue sits right in the middle of that timeline, bridging the earlier decades of the series with the later years leading up to the memorial design. Over the course of its existence, the 1944 wheat penny has been studied, cataloged, and treasured by numismatists. Worldwide guidebooks, coin clubs, and auction houses continue to highlight its significance, and the ongoing fascination ensures that new generations of collectors keep the legacy alive. Whether one finds a simple circulated example in pocket change or pursues a rare steel cent in high grade, the coin offers a tangible connection to American heritage. The value of the 1944 wheat penny continues to evolve as markets shift in circulated condition. Most are worth only a few cents or small premiums, but in high mint state or with rare varieties, the prices soar. Some auction records have seen steel cents surpass $100,000 and red gem copper cents achieving thousands. This range shows both accessibility for beginners and extraordinary potential for serious collectors, making it a versatile coin in the world of numismatics. As we reflect on the 1944 wheat penny, we see it as more than metal. It is history, memory, and meaning compressed into a small, round piece of copper. It speaks of a time when America was united in purpose, when even pennies carried the weight of sacrifice and innovation, and when a simple coin could connect a nation to both its past and its future. It continues to inspire fascination, today proving that even the humblest coin can tell a story that lasts forever. Small cent might look ordinary in your pocket, but the 1954 wheat penny carries a hidden history of minting secrets, production numbers, varieties, and collector value that turns this humble coin into a treasure many never expect to find. The year was 1954, and America was in the midst of a time of economic growth, and post-war confidence coins were in circulation every day, and people rarely thought about the small details of their pennies. Yet today, collectors look back at that year and discover that the wheat penny of 1954 is not just an ordinary cent. It is a piece of American history that represents craftsmanship, minting tradition, and hidden value for those who know where to look. The wheat penny had been in production since 1909, when the design by Victor David Brenner was introduced to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse side carried the iconic bust of President Lincoln, while the reverse side carried two wheat ears, symbolizing prosperity, growth, and the strength of the American agricultural economy. This design remained in production until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial cent, so the 1954 wheat penny stands close to the end of the series, making it especially interesting to collectors. During 1954, the United States Mint produced wheat pennies in 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins without a mint mark; the Denver Mint, which placed a D mint mark beneath the date, and the San Francisco Mint, which used the S mint mark. Each mint had its own production, totals, and quality differences, which today impact the rarity and desirability of the coins. The Philadelphia Mint was known for high mintage numbers and produced over 71 million wheat pennies. That year, these coins were widely circulated and are considered common, but they still hold numismatic interest due to their historical role. The Denver Mint struck over 251 million pennies in 1954, making it by far the largest mintage of the year. These coins with the D mint mark are common as well. Yet collectors search for varieties, errors, and high-grade examples that can command strong values. The San Francisco Mint produced just over 23 million wheat pennies in 1954 with the S mint mark. This was the lowest mintage of the three, and while not extremely rare, it still makes the 1954 S penny more desirable, especially in uncirculated or high-grade condition. To fully understand the significance of the 1954 wheat penny, one must look at the types of errors and varieties that exist. Coins can display doubled dies, repunched, mint marks off center strikes, die cracks, and other anomalies that occurred during the minting process in Denver. The 1954 D over D repunched mint mark is a highly sought-after variety where the letter D was punched twice, creating a doubled appearance under magnification. This error can increase the value of the coin dramatically in San Francisco. The 1954 S pennies can sometimes be found with minor repunched mint marks, and in all mints, collectors search for doubled die obverse or reverse varieties. Though rare, these coins show clear doubling of numbers, letters, or design elements which make them highly valuable. The value of a 1954 wheat penny depends on condition, rarity, and collector. Demand most circulated examples are worth only a few cents, but uncirculated coins, especially those graded at mint state 65 or higher, can bring in several dollars or more when errors or varieties are added. The price can jump significantly. For instance, a 1954 D over D in high grade can reach into the hundreds of dollars. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC are trusted more by collectors, because the grade determines so much of the value. Beyond the numbers, the 1954 wheat penny holds a place in the story of American life in the 1950s. This was a period of suburban growth, automobile culture, television, and rock and roll. While the world was changing rapidly, the humble penny remained in everyone's hands, used in candy shops, gas stations, diners, and schools. Each coin carried the face of Abraham Lincoln, reminding Americans of unity and perseverance from the Civil War era to modern times. Every small coin represented purchasing power that meant something in daily life. For the collector today, the 1954 wheat penny is a gateway coin. It is affordable, accessible, and yet full of hidden stories. New collectors often start with these coins because they can be found in old jars, estate sales, and coin rolls from banks. Then, as interest grows, they begin to hunt for the more valuable versions, the mint mark varieties, and the rare. Errors in this way. The 1954 wheat penny becomes not just a coin, but an entry into the entire world of numismatics. One must also consider the grading process when discussing the 1954 wheat penny. Coins are judged on a scale from poor to mint state 70, which is the highest possible grade. A coin in poor condition is heavily worn with few details visible, while a coin in mint state retains its original luster and sharp details. A 1954 penny in mint state with full red color is far more valuable than one that has toned brown or lost its shine. Collectors, especially prize coins with strong strikes, no marks, and original brilliance. These are the specimens that rise in auctions and become cherished pieces in serious collections. The historical context of 1954 adds further meaning. Dwight Eisenhower was president. America was involved in the Cold War. The Supreme Court issued the landmark Brown v. Board of Education decision, and popular culture was shifting with the rise of Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe. The penny in circulation during this era was part of the same economy and culture that shaped mid-20th century America. Holding a 1954 wheat penny is holding a relic of that exact time. It is a tiny witness to history. When comparing mintages, it is clear that the Denver Mint dominated the production in 1954, but this does not mean the Denver coins are the most valuable. Instead, rarity is found in high grades and special varieties. The San Francisco Mint produced fewer coins, and though not rare in the strictest sense, their lower numbers make them more attractive for specialized collections. Philadelphia coins being without mint mark are often overlooked, but they, too, can be valuable if found in pristine condition. For 2 hours, one can explore every aspect of the 1954 wheat penny. The design elements, the mint history, the varieties, the condition, grading the cultural background, the collector market, the auction results, and the human stories of people who find one in a change jar and wonder what it is worth. This penny embodies the journey from everyday circulation to collectible treasure and continues to fascinate those who study American coinage.